Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Palmetto Boys podcast. I'm your host, FT, and joined by me today is Gamecock fan and friend of the show, Gavin. How are you today, Gavin?
I'm doing great, man. It's great to do this, man. It's been a while since we've done this, and I'm glad we're back doing it with Palmetto Boys podcast. I'm glad to be a part of it, and excited to get into it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It has indeed been a while. So, obviously, today, the focus of the show, it's game week. South Carolina, Garnet and Black spring game, Saturday night, 7 o'clock p.m. A spring game under the lights at Williams-Brice. And we are going to be discussing things to watch for. What do we want to see out of the Gamecocks this weekend as they take the field? Now, you can say it's only a spring game and it doesn't matter, but there are things you can learn from a spring game. We talked about it in the last episode, and we will be talking about what we want to see coming from the spring game. Now, Gavin, obviously last season was a very disappointing season for the Gamecocks as they went 5-7,
Yep.
didn't make a bowl game. Very frustrating season for sure. And, you lose Spencer Rattler, a quarterback who, let's be honest, he gave it all he got. He gave it all he had last season. And, of course, Xavier Legette, the rise of Xavier Legette, an incredible wide receiver. You even had Mario Anderson in the backfield. But now all of that is gone. But you do get Rocket Sanders, which is a big addition for the Gamecocks. You have Lenora Sellers, who every Gamecock fan is excited about. What do you want to see from the offense in the spring game? What are you looking for?
I'm looking for everything possible. I mean, spring games. It's not. It's not something that's gonna. It's not gonna represent what will look like this upcoming season because I mean it's a spring. It's a. I mean from the spring game, that's in April, and the
Yeah.
season starts, late August or early September for Gamecocks, depending on whatever team you support. But no matter what we see this game, it's not going to exactly be what we're going to look like in 2024 in the season. But um, yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see Lenore Sellers. Obviously, I mean, he's probably going to have that. Unfortunately, we won't see him get tackled, because he's probably going to wear that orange jersey or whatever that like signals that you can't tackle him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Can't tackle the
I mean,
quarterback in the spring games.
yeah, you can't do that. But I mean, with our new additions, I'm gonna love to see them. Unfortunately, we won't see Rocket Sanders and Juju McDowell and Nick Harbor in the spring game because Nick Harbor's like focusing more on his track, and Juju
Yeah.
McDowell's out with an injury. He injured his collarbone, I think, and Rocket Sanders. I don't know. I think he's been dealing with an injury for a while, but he may have re-injured it or something. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what happened with that, but I'm excited to. I mean, not just the players. I mean, I'm going to the game this Saturday night, and it's just the
Nice.
atmosphere at Williams-Brice. You got the LED lights, you got Sandstorm, you got everything. It's just
Hmm.
something that I mean, it's just something in the middle of nowhere of this year that something that won't be happening until late August because the first
You
game
gotta
is
enjoy it,
against
buddy. You gotta
yep
enjoy it.
Old Dominion on August 1st, and that's not for a while. So what we'll see on Saturday is not gonna be what we'll see, good or bad, whatever happens. It's a
Yeah.
game that'll either be really entertaining or it's a game that'll be really, really boring, depending on whichever shows up, Garnet or Black, defense
For
or offense.
sure.
Whichever one. I mean, I think we'll see scoring early, and then as we get later on in the game, I think they'll get a little more tired, and then there probably won't be as much scoring. But last game, I don't remember who exactly won, but I know it went to 2-point conversion overtime, and some team pulled it out. And
The last spring game?
yeah, last year's spring game, it
Gotcha.
was
Yeah.
it was pretty entertaining. Yeah, I mean, I hope we see any entertaining spring game. I mean, no one wants
Hey,
to miss that.
exactly. Either way, it's Southern Fried Football in Columbia, South Carolina, under lights at Williams-Brice. I mean, it's Southern Fried Football in April. Always a treat to see. Might not be a regular season, but Carolina football is Carolina football, my man.
Yeah, man. I mean, just can't get enough. I mean, I wish I would just be there every day. After every game I go to, going back to school, I'm like, dang, I wish I was back there, man. I mean, it's just you wish you would just live there. You wish you would just be there no matter what. It's like one of the best atmospheres in the world. Not just college football, man. It's like one of the best ever. I mean, heck, in the summer we have Premier League soccer coming to town. It's I can't remember the teams. I think it's Manchester United, Arsenal, or I don't know. There's I mean, I'm not a soccer guy, but I mean I kind of am, but I'm not. I'm not gonna get into that. But I mean we have that coming to town, and I mean Williams Bryce. It's an amazing venue.
For sure. And another thing I will bring up is obviously last year the defense was a concern for South Carolina. It was better at the end of the season, right? It was. I mean, think about it. 14 points to Clemson. You held Clemson without an offensive touchdown. Wait, I mean, did I say? I mean, 14 points for Kentucky. You held Clemson without an offensive touchdown. It ended better, and of course, you held Vandy to 6 points. But up until the Vanderbilt game, the defense was very concerning to watch. And Clayton White definitely on the hot seat coming into this season. And that's a big talking point for the Gamecocks. How did the line of scrimmages look? Did the offensive line look better? Offensive line was not very good last year at all.
No, it
Not
was
at
not.
all. Got bullied a lot. And that seems to be the theme under Shane Beamer. That's something he's got to get fixed. And of course, the defense, secondary was cooked almost all season. What do we want to see from the defense? Obviously, we want to see them improve, but I mean, what are you excited about? What are you concerned about for the defense, not just coming into this game, but this season?
Well, again, this is a spring game. We're playing ourselves. We can't really beat ourselves, but I mean, you have to find a way to protect your quarterback. I want to see an O line that is capable of protecting the quarterback and giving them enough time in the pocket so they can get their pass off in time. Out and the defense has definitely got to improve as well. But I mean, the spring game is not gonna answer that question because I mean we're playing ourselves and there's really gonna be no typical winner in this one. So but I mean, I still want to see just a fight. I want to see hungry. I want to see hungry football players that smell blood in the water for this next
Yeah,
season because it did not start good. We had lots of hype going into the North Carolina game, and we had, I mean, Spencer Rattler got sacked 9 times that game, and he still was what, like I can't remember, 33 for like 39 or something, and he was like, gosh, man, I just feel so bad for him. If we had a good O line that game against North Carolina, we would have been in that game. I'm not saying that's the reason why our season went downhill,
yeah,
because we beat Furman after that, but we were up like 14-3 at the half against Georgia. We were starting to look better than, I mean, obviously we're going to lose that because if you're going on the road at Georgia, it's almost impossible to do that, which we saw that from us in 2019. But I mean, Georgia now, they're just unbelievably good. But who knows what we'll see from them this year? But you were saying the defense, yeah, it was going up until I'd say the Jacksonville State game. Going up to that, the entire season, the defense was not good at all. It was awful. It was abysmal. It was terrible. And the O line, it was just
mhm,
awful. And it sucks because like you had so much hype going into the season. You're building off so much momentum from the season before when you knock off Clemson, Tennessee, and you gave Notre Dame a great fight in the Gator Bowl. And then you just disappoint in 2023, and now you're back to where you were the years before. You're now the laughing stock, and you lost to Clemson too. So they got to pick themselves up this season. And with a schedule this upcoming season, it is not easy. I mean,
definitely not.
we don't have the hardest schedule in the country because that's Florida. That's Florida. But still, either way, our schedule by far is a gauntlet. I mean, look at this. LSU, Ole Miss. We're going at Alabama, at Oklahoma, A&M, Missouri, Clemson. I mean, you got all these tough, tough games, and it's going to be hard to make a bowl. I mean, you got to at least win the games that you're supposed to, and like the trap games too. I'm not going to get too into that because we'll save that for later for whatever we'll be doing in the future. But
Yeah.
you just have to win the games you're supposed to, unlike what we did not do last year against Florida. And that Florida game is basically what lost us our bowl game last year. But this year, it's a lot different. It's a lot different just because of the amount of teams that you're playing. And it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy one bit. So you have to win. You got to pull off at least. I would say if you want to keep Shane Beamer as a coach, like keep him off that hot seat, and you want to make a bowl game, win the games you're supposed to, just look good in games, even if it's a game you're not going to win, and pull off an upset. I mean, you're playing Ole Miss and LSU at home. You're playing Missouri at home. You're playing A&M at home. You're playing these games against somewhat mostly ranked teams that we could see this upcoming season. At least
Hmm.
pull off one upset, no matter the team, or if it's on the road,
And
because
that's fair.
the Gamecocks have not been good on the road either, and mainly we've just been our fortress is Williams Bryce. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's that.
Excellent, excellent point there.
Yeah.
Um, I will say a spring game is a spring game, of course, but there are things you can learn from a spring game. It will not define your season, and we are definitely not saying that. Oh, depending on how the spring game looks, Carolina will go this or this or that because they look like this in a spring game. Absolutely not. But there are things that we want to see. Obviously, how the offensive line looks, the quarterback situation. How does that look? What kind of energy does Lenora Sellers bring during the spring game? Of course, you can't touch the guy, so be very different from an actual game. But there are things that fans want to see from a spring game, right? Obviously, the environment,
Yeah. Every time.
just yeah. You want to. You're just happy to see the Garnet and Black on the field again, and you're just excited for football in Columbia. But you know, last season was very disappointing for South Carolina, and hopefully the Gamecocks get it turned around this season, and hopefully this spring game will let us know a little bit of what the Gamecocks have and what they could be, what they could do. A spring game won't tell you everything, but it will give you somewhat of an insight as to what you have and how the team looks coming into what will definitely be a very tough 2024 season. I mean, you look at the schedule again. I mean, in the road games, you have LSU and Ole Miss at home, back to back weeks, back to back road games against Alabama and Oklahoma.
Yeah.
You go on the road against Clemson. I mean, on the road against Kentucky. It's definitely a gauntlet of a schedule. We'll see what they can do, but we'll see what the spring. We'll see how the spring game looks. Football is back in Columbia this weekend, and definitely a lot of questions that fans have that maybe we'll get a little bit of answers to.
Yeah. I went to that Clemson game and it left me a terrible taste in my mouth. I watched them plant their flag on our logo and it's just not something you want to see. And I just I can't wait to go back to Williams Bryce and actually like just see some good football because we did not play good football that game. I mean, we were there early, but I mean, it's just I want to see just Gamecocks play. I want to see us all. I want to see the fans be happy. I just want to see. I just cannot wait to be at the game. I just want to see some good things. I just want to see something that we could see in the future. I mean, obviously, I'm not just saying like let's say Lenore Sellers plays his ass off. Let's say he just does really good and he looks like what the Gamecocks have been hoping to see from him. I'm not saying if he plays that way, we're not going to see that this season. I'm saying we can see that. I'm just talking about like defense and offense overall, the O line, the D line, just not like you're playing yourselves. It's, I mean, you know how football is. It's tackle. It's just there's different opponents you're going to play every week. It's just how it is with the schedule. You're not going to do a game where you're going to face the Gamecocks. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, spring game, glorified scrimmage, they say. But we'll get to see a little bit from South Carolina. Maybe some questions will be answered. We'll see how it goes. Either way, it'll be a fun weekend in Columbia. The fans will be rowdy, as they always are when the Gamecocks are playing. It'll be a good atmosphere. And obviously, I mean, just football's back at least for a weekend until August. It's your one taste of football until August, so enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
just
cherish
take
it
in what you can.
while you can. It's in the middle of spring. You will not get football again until fall.
Yeah,
Man, it's just out of nowhere, but you love to see it. Just go to it if you're a Gamecock fan. It's free. Just cherish the moment, man. Like, just do what you can because you won't see it for a while. I mean, especially with how the season ended. Like I mentioned, you want to see happy fans. You want to see happy players. That's what you see every time. They're glad to be there. They love to play football.
yep,
It's just a fun thing to go do for a spring game, especially.
absolutely. And we will do another show around this time next week, recapping and breaking down what we saw from the spring game and everything. Hopefully, it's a great weekend. Hopefully, just hopefully everything goes well. Everyone's safe. Everyone's all right. No injuries.
No
Just a fun
injuries,
time.
no
Yes,
injuries. We had a
definitely
key O
can't have injuries.
lineman. We had a key O lineman. I forgot his name, but he like tore his ACL, I think. Then he was out for the entire season, and he's coming back this
Definitely can't
season.
have that.
Yeah, we cannot have season-ending injuries like that. And I saw it myself. He was like, I was sitting there and I saw him get hurt, and he was struggling on the sideline. He had ice to his knee. He didn't look happy at all. He was like, I saw a bunch of kids yelling and asking him if he's okay. He just looked back and gave him a thumbs up, but didn't look happy at all because he knew he wasn't going to play this for the season. It just awful look, and I do not want to see that again because that was just heartbreaking. I just hope everyone comes out safe, everyone comes out fine. Like you said, I do not want to see injuries like this because we already have people who we're not going to see, like Rocket Sanders, Juju McDowell, Nick Harbor, and other players that are probably out hurt because you do not want to see any more of that. You do not want to pile on with that. But if there was a time where that could happen, it ideally it could be this game because you're actually playing a game in front of fans, and it's like the football players know what it's like to play in front of Williams Bryce. It's just
Yeah.
different. It's a different sight. So I just feel like if it's gonna happen, it could happen this spring game, but I hope nothing serious
Yeah.
happens. Like
Obviously,
they're gonna hit
hope no
hard. They're gonna
injuries.
yeah, they'll hit hard. They'll play like how they usually play. Just I do not want to see any injuries that will keep them out long term.
Absolutely. Got to stay healthy. Got to have fun. But, anyways, going to wrap this show up. Gavin, is there anything else you want to say to the audience before we end the show?
South Carolina is going to win the national championship, and we will beat Clemson. We are getting our revenge. We'll plant our flag into their logo at Memorial Stadium, the fake Death Valley, and we will win the national championship. We're going to the 12-team playoff. We'll be the 12th seed. We'll upset the number one team. We'll make a Cinderella run like the March Madness, and we're going to win it all. You heard it here first.
Uh, always nice talking to you, man. It's always great having you on the show.
It's great being back, man. I love to be here.
Oh, yeah. Have a great day, my man.
Yeah, you too.